Very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. Me, Deba. Well, tonight on the show, we will be taking a look at the Europa League. Some matches currently going on as we speak. We will also be looking at what's happening here on the domestic scene. We'll also discuss on the show tonight of course, the Unity Cup, the invitational tournament that the Super Eagles will be featuring in. So that's the outlook of the show today. It's a two-man show. My colleague Austin Okonakman is suited and ready as we go along on this ride.
Spotted greetings to you, and of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight. Always an action-packed world of sports. Yes, I saw that NFF statement confirming the invitational that they've tagged the Unity Cup, and yes, we like it that they're getting serious with getting the Super Eagles ready. But what's going on with the Super Falcons? That's the question I have for the Nigeria Football Federation. We've got an important tournament coming up in July, and nothing has been heard as regards getting the Super Falcons ready. NFF, what's going on?
All right, that's the question. LFF, what's going on? We'll get to that in a bit. Let's quickly introduce our guest in the Lagos studio with us tonight. Damlola Olinfade joins us. Damlola, greetings to you. Thanks for finding time to be with us on the show tonight.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's good to be here. Austin just asked a very valid question. What's happening with the Super Falcons? The only person that can answer is the Super Eagles. I'm not even sure the players can answer that question. I said the only person that can answer is the NFF, and hopefully we'll get a response pretty soon.
Hopefully. But just hope it's not a knee-jerk reaction. Hopefully it's a well-thought-out response that will not make us ask a few more questions that probably will just settle the dust. All right, let me allow Austin that he's furiously refreshing his tablets, and of course with one eye looking at what's currently going on. Lyon and Manchester United, as we expected, some sort of drama in it. Manchester United trailing before we came into the studio. Has anything changed?
Oh, it has changed there, and they really needed that Euro with the goal just before halftime. So it's 1-1 now. And this game had a bit of a bad blood, before kickoff. Remember the drama between Matic and Onana. So Manchester United, they must look for a way to get something out of this one. I think Lyon, they've been decent. They've distributed the ball properly. And so they might come out with a strategy that might just change everything in the second half. But at the moment, it's 1-1. There's a team that has done so well in the Europa League this season. People don't really talk about them. It's Bodo Glimt here. That team, the consistency that they've shown right from, I think, the final round of games into the round of 16 and now the quarterfinals, beating Lazio by 2-0 is a really good, result for them. Halftime in the game between Atletico Madrid and Rangers. That one is still goalless. Tottenham Hotspur and Eintracht Frankfurt. It's 1-1. So a lot of talking points came out of the game between Legia Warsaw and Chelsea. Chelsea did a great one, went away. Now it's not the Europa League, it's the Conference League, and then they won by 3-0. But in the Europa League, interesting fixtures going on. It's far from over, almost, except the one between Bodo Glimt and Lazio. There's still so much more to play for in the game between Lyon and Manchester United. I mentioned Rangers and Athletic Club still goalless, and then the game between Tottenham and Frankfurt is 1-1, Yemi.
All right. Of course, our viewers can be rest assured that will be your eyes and your ears, especially if you're not seeing any of those games. We'll let you in on what is happening in those matches. Damlola, let's go straight away and talk about the Unity Cup Invitational. It kind of leave a sore taste in your mouth, especially with what is currently going on with the Super Eagles. One would have expected, or one would have thought that in a group that had all of these teams, by the time we're playing this invitational, we'll probably be talking about maybe just one more game before we qualify for the World Cup. It's not so. Everything hangs in a balance. But then again, you must also agree, in spite of whichever way you feel, that this is also good coming at this stage for the Super Eagles.
It is, and I think the man that will be most grateful for this opportunity is probably the coach of the Super Eagles. I would expect that this is not a competition. I mean, we're just playing 2 games at the Unity Cup, the semi-final and, of course, the final. And one would expect that he should maximize it. He must have seen a few things from the games that he had played, 2 of them, to be able to try out a few other players, try maybe for the players to understand his style and a few more things that he wants to try. And I think it's going to be a good test, particularly because we're playing Ghana. Ghana is not also in the best of form, but you know that when Nigeria-Ghana play, form goes out of the window. It's more of pride than any other thing. And to also play Trinidad and Jamaica, not a bad one. It's a welcome development. It's not a new tournament, by the way, except that it's been a long time that we've had the Unity Cup. And I look forward to it. I want to see what Eric Shell will present. Hopefully, he will surprise us with the call-up. Hopefully, I expect to see a few players that have not done the green and white of Nigeria having the opportunity at this tournament.
All right, that's the essence. I mean, Austin, we've always complained about you releasing a list. I'm talking about coaches now, or the NFF, as the case may be, releasing a list. And we're sitting here and say, okay, well, it's good you've invited so, and so. And you play 3 games, the person doesn't get to kick a ball. So the question is, why did you invite the person in the first place? So this presents the coach an opportunity to, just like Damola said, try out a few things. I mean, at this point, just see what you can do with your team.
Yeah, it's a good one. He needs to have another peep at this team, and sadly, he knows now that Nigerian football is not in a place where you come and experiment. So don't be calling people anymore that will not do you any good when the next round of World Cup matches will come. I think he should still do with his proper team, have them, play in their rightful positions this time around. Don't go and be putting Sagme Chukwueze in a place where he cannot function. Don't confuse Lookman and the Moses Simon role. Don't, for Christ's sake, tell Alex Iwobi to go and to sit back when you know this guy can rove. And when you make him do that, you now go and start taking him off where you shouldn't. The games against Zimbabwe and Rwanda has given him more than enough reason to know his team now and understand that, look, we're in a very crucial stage. There's a need for some good blending. The team spirit must grow in the team. Players that are coming in must be those that are coming in to, be reformers. That's the word, yeah. Create immediate impact. If you're just bringing somebody who you think that, needs to cap for Nigeria or because he's scoring goals in his club, then he must come. No, he must be bringing that same form into the national team because we have reached that stage where now in local palace, say our football has tied wrapper and gele and is ready to go out. So if you are not going to show up in this Super Eagles team again, stay in your club or go home because this is a time for us to, any opportunity to wear this green, white, green color that you are playing football, particularly that we know that the NFF, they are doing their bit to, make sure that the team looks good. Then the players must turn up, then the coaches must know what they are doing. You cannot be experimenting at a time where we want to actually see results. Football at this stage just wants to see results. I'm sure if we had played a very bad game against Zimbabwe and we win 1-0, nobody will come out and complain. We'll say all we know now is that we have 10 points and we look pretty on that Group C table. So I think that's the mentality he needs to have. Yes, I understand that he will want to, prove a point, do his own style. If it's not working, don't do it. That's all I have to say to him. With this Unity Cup, let us see progress as we look forward to the AFCON and the final round of games for the World Cup qualifiers.
All right, let me just quickly go across the screen to let you in. Damilola has already said it, but just so that you can know the teams Nigeria will be playing against. Right here on your screen, the Unity Cup. It's going to be in London, the GTEC Community Stadium in Brentford. London 2025, what they're calling it. Semi-final game 1, the Super Eagles will be playing against the Black Stars of Ghana. But of course, first Trinidad and Tobago will be up against Jamaica. And like I said, the venue is the GTEC Community Stadium in Brentford. So that's May 27, May 28. Of course, some reactions, some comments from the stakeholders. Let's quickly read out what the NFF president had to say. Of course, Ibrahim Gusso, he says, we signed onto the tournament as it offers a vital opportunity for our team to bond ahead of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers in September. The Unity Cup has a special history, and the Super Eagles have always been part of that journey. Comments from Ibrahim Gusso, the NFF president. Eric Shell, the Super Eagles coach, says, we're looking forward to taking part in the Unity Cup as it will give us the chance to try out a few new players in different roles, helping us to strengthen our squad before the matches in September and October. That's Eric Shell, the coach of the Super Eagles. And of course, let's listen to the captain, William Truss Ekong, the Super Eagles captain. This is a great tournament for us to reunite and continue strategizing for the upcoming World Cup qualifying. So everybody involved knows what it is. All right, but Dablola, I want to quickly get your thoughts. He talked about new players. Austin says, look, if it's not working, don't just try it. You know, you are on the end of the rope. But are there players not currently in the Eagles squad that should be in? Are there players who probably, I don't know if this sounds harsh, who they've had all the chance to show us what they're capable of, and it seems they're not cutting? Are there players who fall into that category? Are there players who could, it's not just about inviting players. Mm-hmm. Are there players currently not in this squad that can make this squad better? Are there players who, I mean, there's nothing else this guy can offer? Those two categories.
You've asked me like two questions. Let me make an attempt at it. For the players that are currently not in the Super Eagles, I would not want to mention names, so it doesn't look as if I'm pitching for any player. Mm-hmm. But I think that if you look at the setup of the current Super Eagles and you look at the fullbacks, you cannot outrightly say who are the backups. And that's why each time when a player is not there, we find a way to play a left back, a right back, and play the other left back in the left back position. That's what we've been doing for years. And so this is an opportunity for him to, even if you have to look at the MPFL, look for proper players that can be backups. So that. Number two is we have loads of strikers, as we call them. But then the truth is, who is the actual backup to Osimhen in the Super Eagles? We really don't have standout backups that if Osimhen is not playing, we really cannot say this is the next in line. We've tried Boniface, about 9-10 games now, no goal, and it's like we're beginning to look away from him. We've invited Sadiq Umar, and coach after coach, it seems we are not confident enough to put him there. And so what I was saying at the beginning was, yes, you can invite Osimhen for this tournament, but the truth is all of us know what Osimhen will give you, irrespective of who is playing alongside Osimhen. Can we try another striker in case Osimhen is not available for September? Don't forget, part of our major struggle at this World Cup is because Osimhen didn't play
all those matches
under Finidi. And so we must be bold enough to take that step. So we must find, if Ademola Lookman is not available in September, who fits into that position? Stand out backup for Ademola Lookman. Do you have one? We've been struggling on the right side because we've been trying to play Samuel Chukwueze. So we
it's not been working.
For me, those are the real issues. Do we have good players? Yes. But actually, do we have a team?
Although you've stylishly danced away from my question.
I've not. I've just refused to mention names.
Okay. You've made it obvious where the areas of need are.
Yeah.
But also, it must be said, and Austin quite rightly pointed out, it's not just about inviting players.
Yes.
You know, a lot of players are just same of the same.
Yes.
And even those who are same, some of them have not really gotten the fair crack of the whip. It must be said. You talked about Sadiq Umar. It's not really gotten the chance.
To
probably
to
apart
himself.
from, I would mention names. I would mention players like Samuel Chukwueze, Victor Boniface. And the problem is that it's not that these players are not good, but there's something about them when it comes to the Super Eagles that needs to be fixed by the coach. And if we cannot be brutally honest with ourselves at this stage, then we have no business to be in football, because a lot of this hangs in a balance. This current generation that we have been calling next generation, young generation for the past 10 years, this is their peak, and it looks like they may not go to the World Cup. So at this point, we have to be brutally honest. Not just the fullbacks, even the goalkeeper. if Stanley Nwabali, something happens and he's not going to be in goal, who are you confident
No, I
in?
think we have the backup. The only the question is, are we confident enough that it's good enough?
So we don't have a backup. That's the meaning.
No,
but let me allow Austin come into this conversation. You can name names, just like Damilola said. You can name names, but in those positions, are there players aside those who would normally start that you could confidently say, okay, this guy can play and could give us almost the same, if not better, in terms of performance?
I think it's good that we can say about 85 or 90% of the players that can be in the team. And as I said in that opening, that we need players who are reformers. Okay. Now, the danger of having a player who sees himself as just a sub is that it can also affect him mentally. For instance, if a Cyril Dessas is on fire and he was burning, wants to play, Osimhen is there. So what happens to him? You want to put him by the side or you want to make him assist? There's Ademola Lookman, there's Moses Simon, so he looks packed. What I'm concerned about is when you've built a team and you are a new manager, because we lack transition with our football, that's why I was suffering. I think at this point it's not about names. It's about if we made it to the AFCON, the last time we made it to the final, why are we not building on that team? A team that was able to play football to get to the final. And the bulk of that team put us in the situation where we are in with the World Cup qualifiers. So why are we touching it? Why is Frank Onyeka not in the team? I mean, that's a player that has shown that he can work for the team. That's a player that has shown some level of consistency also with his club football. Why wasn't he in the team? And if you say you want to encourage local football in Nigeria and you bring Papa Daniel Mustafa, why didn't we see him play? Why didn't you show us that, look, this guy's got something that we saw. That's why we had to maybe sacrifice Frank Onyeka to bring in the guy. That's the one I'm after, because all of these guys are professionals. They brought in Tolu. I didn't have any problem with Tolu. What is Tolu coming to do? I don't want any excitement that I'm making a debut. It's normal. You're a professional footballer. They can call you, can come and play. Will you come and make an impact immediately if Victor Osimhen is not around? Can we say this is the guy who will turn to and he will give us the sort of Victor Boniface performance? That's the conversation I want the coaching crew to be having. Don't come and experiment nothing. Don't come and change what is not broken. Just try and achieve some level of consistency with these guys and let us see results. That said, I've called names that I think should be in the team to make it thick. But if the coach thinks otherwise and you're bringing somebody into the team, then it should be somebody that will say, oh, this is good decision making by the technical crew. Don't let us have our hands on our cheeks for a long time.
All right. I mean, that hand has been on the cheeks for a very, very long time. I hope we'll get a chance to remove it. Well, all the best to the Super Eagles, and our hearts and minds with them. And hopefully Eric Shell will get it right and we'll be able to qualify. Let's talk about the Flying Eagles now and talk about the list that is out and the training camp for the upcoming tournament. I'll just quickly go across, reel out the list. But what really jumps at you, and I thought it was an issue that has been, sorted out, inviting professional players for age grade tournaments is something that needs to be talked about. But let me just quickly go across. We'll talk about it. I can see Damilola nodding his head, probably in agreement with what I said, so we'll see. Of course, for the goalkeepers, Ifeanyi Ebenezer Akot for Sporting Lagos, Rufai Abubakar, Marvelon FC, Soli Ajia, he plays in Serbia. Those are the goalkeepers. Let's talk about the midfielders quickly. Let's move on with that. Of course, you have Adewale Kwolri, Adamu Maigeri, Odinaka Okoro Emmanuel, Kenneth Igboke, Daniel Bameyi, Arono Aliyu, Chukwu Emmanuel, and Chigozie Michael Ehiejo for all of these players plying their trade in Nigeria, apart from Chukwu Emmanuel, who plays for Offenheim in Germany. Let's move on and look at the midfielders. Caleb Ochediku, he plays in Croatia. Michael Tunde, of course, not here. Sabi Mohammed plays for Niger Tornadoes. Akiniran Oluwashile, Water IFC. Ibrahim Alani plays for Real Valladolid in Spain. Ayuma Isaac Israel plays in Croatia. These are the midfielders in the squad. Cletus Simon, Suleiman Alabi, Jojo Awal, Ibrahim, Shafiu Adamu, Duguri from Wiki Tourist. You will expect at some point this squad will be trimmed. For the forwards, Umar Abubakar plays in Belgium. Anthony Ezekiel, Ochu Joseph, Nasiru Saliu, Divine Olise plays for Foster Academy. Adeleke Abdul Muniz plays for Adoration FC. Then you have Clinton Jepta. He plays for, of course, the Aba Elephants, talking about Eyimba. So that's the list. You have, you still have a few more. Bidemi, Amole, Tahir, Maigana, Rickson, Mendos, Mustafa, Omar, Kingsley, Matthew, Aniahu, Yeshua, and of course, Benjamin Precious also plies his trade at Offenheim in Germany. All right, so that about does it for the 35-man list for the Flying Eagles, and they will be camping in Abuja. Let's go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, we will also be talking about the Nigeria Premier Football League and a lot of other issues on the show tonight. All right, welcome back. We just gone by. We talked about the the Super Eagles and of course the Flying Eagles. Damilola, just a word, probably just a word on the Flying Eagles. Usually, it's great tournaments. It's all about development. It's good to win, but mostly it's all about tournaments and the measurement of success is to still see these guys 10, 12 years after this tournament, irrespective of what happens, whether they qualify or not.
For me, for their sake, I wish them all the best that they win, because we do not have the character that when they don't win, we see them as making progress. We have an attitude that once they don't win, that generation is wiped out. So for the sake of the players, very few players have not been part of successful youth teams in this country and have been able to get to the Super Eagles level or even go beyond. So for me, for their sake, I hope they win. I like the coach. I saw his El Kanemi Warriors play last season. I even saw them in the final of the President Federations Cup, and they were very good. At the WAFU Cup, they didn't start very well, but they picked up and eventually won it. So I have great expectation from on the coach that they will do well. Hopefully, they will not disappoint me.
hopefully they will. All right. I know Austin wants to chip in a few words.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, you know me and development. You guys come at me sometimes to say at this under 20 level, we should be seeing real competition, but why I always stay with development is because I know we want the quick way out. And when you have that short route, it's just going to take you back to, look, it's so simple. You build from bottom to top. For instance, I like the fact that they have quite a number of academy players in the mix now, which shows that, okay, it means they went to the grassroots. It means there was some level of scouting, but it would have just been so good if we say we're having like 70% of players that we knew from the under 17. Now, that means they would have gone through 2 or 3 solid years of active football again and then land at under 20. And then we can start saying, okay, from this lot now, if we've got talented few, they can now, transit into the Super Eagles. We're seeing it with women's football in Nigeria, but we haven't seen it with men's football for a long time. And that's why we should destroy this win at all cost mentality. NFF, just sit down. Look, I met a professor at the German School of Sports. The guy told me that for you to work at the grassroots and get results, the first thing you need to have is conscience. That's all you just need to tell yourself, that, look, I know I have done the right things. I have young players. These players that I picked, they are going to be for long-term development in 5 years' time. Whether or not they win, these guys would have been good enough to play national. first team national team football. But we're not doing that. And look, it is what you sow, you reap. So all the best. We'll go to the competition. Hopefully they will do well. You come back and people blow the horns of elephants, and then after that, what's next? Because our football is struggling with transition. And I tell you this, Yemi, I was also speaking to someone and I said, look, I don't have any problem with anybody who was born abroad and wants to represent the motherland. It's lovely. I love it so much. But somehow, it seems to be an easy way out for our football administrators not to work. Because they know that there's a system and a value structure somewhere that if this guy doesn't make it to play for Holland, Sweden, England, Germany, we're just going to meet him and talk to his dad and he's in the national team. And that's why our football back home will keep struggling.
All right. I don't think we need to flog the dead horse. You've just you've nailed it on the head, and I hope the administrators are listening. All right, let's move on the show. Let's talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League, and of course, Damilola. It's been a while that we've talked about this, but I want to get your thoughts. At some point, some people said Remo Stars have one hand planted firmly on the trophy. I think you said as much.
I did. Say it again, I did.
Okay, so have you changed your mind?
I have not. I haven't. I still think they'll win it. It's coming tighter. I know that's what you're alluding to, but I still think they'll win it.
Okay, let me go to the man who said it then. I don't know where I stand in this debate, but Austin, like you said a couple of weeks back, do you still maintain that there's still a lot to play for?
I still believe so, And look, I've told people that with football, you never say never. It's not over until it is over. I big up Premier Stars for the level of consistency that they've shown, for the sort of football that they've played, for the depth that they have in their squad, for the level of management that I've seen from the club. These things I've mentioned, that's what differentiates Remo Stars from the other team. But when it gets to this level, this stage, if you turn around, you start asking questions. They were just so lucky to come back against Lobby Stars. Already down and out Lobby Stars. What happened that Remo Stars were trailing 2-0? It's only football that will tell you. You think Ancelotti and the entire Real Madrid squad, they are not wondering what happened to them at the Emirates? You never say never. Okay, Damilola Onifade is so certain that Remo Stars will win the league title. Do you know it takes just 2 more draws? Let them just play 2 more draws and Rivers United gets 6 points. Then you come back next week and start saying you didn't see it coming. That's our beautiful world of sports for you, where impossible is nothing. They won't lose the games, Damilola. They will just play 2 draw results, 1-1 or 0-0, and then we'll start asking questions. Rivers United now, they are motivated, they are charged with these results. Pressure is on Remo Stars because you look at where they're coming from. 11 points gap, and now it's been cut down to I think 6. So they will now know that they need to stay focused, win their remaining games. If they are going away from home, try not to lose away from home, because that will be the target for Rivers United. Yeah. I want to see a league title fight that will go down the wire. It's good for the conversations that we're going to have about the league. It's good for league football development in Nigeria. And again, it's now go up to the state's own teams to say, if we can have this kind of competition from private-owned teams, then we need to sit up. I think that's where our football is going, where they can call on private individuals and organizations, say, okay, we own Aqua United, but come and manage it for us the way they are managing Remo Stars. That's when we want to start doing business with our football, and I love it so much.
All right. Let me just quickly go across now. Austin referenced it, and Damilola talked about it as well. I mean, if we begin, now that we're used to having calculators, 5 matches left, mathematically, Remo, we need 9 out of 15, at least, no matter what's happening elsewhere. And that will take us probably to day 36 for it to happen. Would they be able to win 3 on the bounce. We didn't wait to the last day. We'll see what happens. But let me just quickly go across, especially to reference the game Austin mentioned. That game, Rebel Stars were able to claw their way back. But let's talk about match day 33. That's the first thing that you are seeing on the screen. Bayelsa United will take on Shooting Stars. Is a fixture for tomorrow. Tomorrow, Friday. Today, Ikorodu City hammered Katsina United 6-0. But on Wednesday, the game Austin was referencing ended 2-2. Quite a number of people have said, look, you might say these guys are down and out, but they're still fighting for their lives. I probably expected them to pick 3 points, but they were even lucky to escape with 1.
Maybe I didn't have so much expectation, but I think I'm okay with a draw for Remo because you're going away, and when you're also playing a team that is down that still has a chance of escaping relegation, then you expect a battle. I'm still not deterred, despite this. Remo will still not win. I still think they will win it because as much as Remo can draw, what gives you the guarantee that Rivers will win?
Okay.
So it's
another side of the
it's a
equation.
balance. It's a balance,
Okay.
and I think the team that wants it most will get it. And I think so far everything I've seen suggests that Remo really wants it, and I think they can do it.
All right. So let's move on the show. Let's talk about the big hammer that has fallen on 3SC. Well, I mean, we always knew with what happened that definitely the NPFL would have had to do something. And these are some far-reaching decisions that were taken, you know, as a result of some unpleasant scenario in the game between Shooting Stars and Ikorodu City. A 1 million fine, a 1 million naira fine for improper conduct of their supporters, which resulted in the assault on the away team supporters. A 1 million naira fine for not controlling their fans. All of these sanctions on Shooting Stars. And also 1 million for breach of rule B 13.18 as a result of their supporters throwing objects toward the field of play and the match officials. 2 million naira fine to be paid for damages to Ikorodu City bus. Damlola, you know, it's painful. And also this one, closure of the Lekon Salami Stadium to the fans for the rest of the season. Shooting Stars is a traditional club, but in the last, say, 7-6 years, it's become a flashpoint. And I don't know, it always happens when the Southwest team comes calling. I don't know why it's like that. Maybe the rivalry. But in a situation where players are, you know, in the country, they have issues with getting their money. Now, fines. They have to pay fines on top of finding solutions to paying their players. So, your thoughts quickly. Was the decision swift? Does it meet your criteria of what should be a punishment for this?
No, I think it was swift, but it didn't really meet what I think the magnitude of what we
Should be
saw
heavier.
should be. However, you can give the NPFL board a little pass. The reason is this: they can also not adjudicate beyond what the law permits. And so if you have to criticize anything, maybe we need to review our law in terms of punishment that will be stringent enough to deter these clubs moving forward. Because I don't think this kind of fine deters anybody. Because at the end of the day, if they are just guilty of one of those three, they will have just paid 1 million. And somebody could have died on that day.
Yes, it could have got, and especially if whoever is causing the trouble is not made to feel.
Exactly. To feel
If this money gets paid, it's going to be the government.
So
there's nothing stops those guys from coming back next season and doing the same. Austin, quickly, chip in with your thoughts. You feel the judgment was swift. The sanctions, can they be a deterrent? A lot of people are saying, why don't we introduce points deductions? Maybe that will help as well. Why don't we single out fans who do this thing, probably paste their pictures, put their names, you know, some of the far-reaching decisions to nip this in the bud.
Before I left Nigeria, I did a bit of investigation, particularly to crowd trouble in the Nigeria Premier Football League. I spoke to a lot of administrators of football in Nigeria, past and present. And they told me, Austin, the danger of points deduction is because these clubs are state-owned. So somebody will go and instigate trouble somewhere and make it so bad that they will deduct points from the other team. So I said, that's a point. Until state governments clean their hands off football in Nigeria, just maybe they finance it and a bit of management control, this will not stop. I'm so disappointed with Shooting Stars. Like, it was, I think, 3 match days ago that we had the allegations that someone punched an official from Niger Tornadoes. Same Shooting Stars. Shooting Stars should be the model of football in Nigeria. When this thing happened, I was like, what is going on? In 2025, Shooting Stars, they've just destroyed their season themselves, That's why I was just reading the fines and the statement from the MPFL. That's all they can do. The Shooting Stars will definitely appeal it, and even if they don't appeal it, what is 1 million naira, 2 million naira for what they did to Ikorodu City's boss? That is, I don't want to use the sort of language I shouldn't use on television, but Shooting Stars, for a team that was doing so well, and then now you have a chance to just stay focused and make it to the continent. And for us that promotes the league, it will be good to say, yes, we have a proper team with history of football in Nigeria back on the continent. And this will bring the fans to the stadium and light up our football once again. But no, we are ignoring the vital part of fans' education. That's when they were causing problem with that Southwest Derby. We were having the Oriental Derby, and Abraham and Abia Warriors were giving us fantastic football. Why can't we have that? So I think state governments need to step in. You see, I always say it here, and people think I don't know what I'm talking about. For sports, not just football, to work in Nigeria, the presidency and the state governments, they must get involved. See the National Sports Festival. After the Touch of Unity got to the president, and then it got to Governor Dakwa Abiodun, have you not seen that they are now working with lightning speed? If the governor of Oyo State calls his people and say, why are you bringing the name of this state to disrepute? Why are you embarrassing us? Why are you making us look stupid? With everything that we're doing, we're supposed to be good hosts to our brothers from Lagos, and this is what we have in the media now. You know what? First, all the monies we're using for your match, they will invest in the grassroots. They will sit up.
Yeah.
Don't tell me 1 million, 2 million. It's not going to change anything.
I agree. All right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, let's move on. We have a few minutes left before we wrap these up on the show. But let's talk about the Olympics, the next edition. The International Olympic Committee have announced an increase in the number of countries that will participate in the women's football event at the 2028 Olympics. And it's oughting not. It's going to be 16 for the men and 16 for the women, I beg your pardon, 12. The men's will remain as 12. Let's quickly take some reaction from that. We'll come back to talk about it. Of course, the latest development from the IOC talking about the football event, and FIFA has also acknowledged the decision taken by the IOC, and it seems everything is going in the right direction. Let's quickly take that statement from the IOC. We'll come back and talk some more.
There's a significant variation, again, in the interests of the promotion of women's sport. We have traditionally in the Olympic Games had 16 men's teams and 12 women's teams. That will be reversed for Los Angeles 2028, and we will have 16 women's teams and 12 men's teams. This reflects the growth of women's football around the world. It's one of the most popular, fastest growing forms of sport around the world. We've seen incredible growth in women's participation in team sport, in popularity and visibility.
Big announcement today. After the executive board, the IOC president Thomas Bach and also Ser Myung-Eng, the chair of the Finance Commission, signed the host contract. We are extremely happy with this. It is a very symbolic day for us. The contract was to be signed at this stage. As you know, there were a number of conditions that were discussed by the IOC session in July last year. And those conditions have now been met with additional guarantees provided most recently by the French Prime Minister, François Bayrou, as well as the two presidents of regions, OHA and PACA. So this has allowed for the signature to take place, and we are very happy because it is symbolic, but it's also very practical. It means that we are formally now working between the IOC and the Alpes Françaises Organizing Committee. We have to adapt to the local circumstances. And what is really important for all of us on this side of the table is to understand what the conditions are so that we can adapt. And to do this, it takes strong partnerships between the organizing committee and the public authorities. We've done this in France, including some difficult situations. We found very good solutions with the government. I would reiterate what I said before. The work between the organizing committee and Washington is really good. They really have a strong relationship. And we trust that the work that is being done between those in Washington and in LA will be productive in this respect.
Welcome back. Of course, we're on the home stretch. I said something off camera that I don't want to repeat, and we both laughed about it, but the IOC and FIFA collaborating, and of course, IOC talking about Washington as well. But let's focus about the football. We'll talk about all of this later on. Increase, I mean, how do you react? Increase in the number of slots for the women, the men's will remain the same. I think it's a recognition of the growth in women's football.
And I think it's a recognition of the growth and also the need for it to keep growing. Whether you like it or not, men's football is there already. Whatever you do now is just to consolidate. For the women, there is still room for more growth. And one of the ways to engender that growth, to speed it up, is to ensure that for every women's tournament, there are more nations that have the opportunity of participating. Expanding it to 16 teams means you have more qualifiers across confederations, and it grows like that. And I think it's something to applaud. It's not something I thought will happen. I thought that both will have gone up, but to have the IOC have the courage to say that no, the women needs it more and let's give them more slot. For me, it's something very commendable.
And that's why the women's game at the Olympics is almost like the women's World Cup. It's not so for the men, but for the women, it's like that. Well, let's go to Austin as we prepare to wrap things up. Your thoughts on that, and maybe if there's any surprise in the Europa League.
No, it's same in the Europa League. But let me just talk about the expansion we're seeing with the women's format at the Olympics. It's all power play, I mean. Give it up to the United States of America. I don't know what people are thinking, but they are saying that, look, we want to own this sports market. First, they use Michael Johnson, go and get us the athletics Grand Slam. Everybody says, we're starting first in Kingston, Jamaica. After that, where are you going? To 3 major cities in America. These Olympics that they are hosting, they have identified markets. Listen to what the IOC official kept saying, that we have a strategic working partnership with the LA 2028 organizing committee. Look, they have sat and have said, look, let us show the world that this is the destination when you're talking about sports. America, they own women's football. It is through America that women's football started to blow. So they're saying they are coming to us now. Guys, see the market. The women's game is growing. We're getting eyeballs. We're going to put voices into it and amplify it and then make it a proper business. Look at what the men's sport is doing. We can do it in America. And that is what we are saying. I love it. And for our leaders, let this be. Look, learn the right models and see what people are doing to make sure that sports becomes that economy that nobody thinks it is. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Well, it's a wrap here in Lagos as well. But before we go, I want to thank Damilala Onifade for his time on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And congrats, Arsenal.
Nah, no comments. All right. That's the show today. Still one more edition for the week. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.